Most cybersecurity founders who lose a warm prospect ask themselves, what did I say wrong on the call? That's the wrong question. If a warm prospect went quiet after your last sales call, I can tell you exactly what happened. They left that conversation without one of the 7 beliefs that they needed to say yes. And you probably have no idea which one, and that's the whole problem. And here's the thing about the cybersecurity space right now, you're not short of problems to solve. Your clients know the threat landscape is getting worse. Like Marks and Spencer's, a trusted British institution that sells quality food, clothing, and home products, they lost 300 million in one cyber attack through a third-party vendor that nobody was watching. And the HSE, the Health Service Executive here in Ireland, experienced something similar in recent weeks. So the headlines like these are not slowing down. If anything, they're 100% speeding up. So it's genuinely confusing when a prospect who clearly needs your help ghosts you or doesn't go ahead. So here's what's actually happening. A buyer doesn't make the decision on the call, they make it before when they're reading your content, like your LinkedIn posts, or they're checking your website at 11 p.m., or they're deciding whether the referral that they got is actually worth following up. So by the time they're on a call with you, the internal jury is mostly in. The call is confirmation 99% of the time, which means if your content, your positioning, and the visible proof that you share about your business haven't done the belief building before that call, you're literally starting from zero with somebody who should be already more than halfway decided. And you'll never know it because they'll seem engaged, they'll ask really great questions, they'll say things like, that sounds exactly like what we're looking for. That sounds exactly like what we need. And then they'll go quiet after that call because something inside them didn't settle before the call and during the call to help them actually decide that you are a safe bet. CEB and Google surveyed 1,500 business leaders across 22 large B2B organizations, the research that's now held by Gartner, and found that buyers complete roughly 57% of the purchase decision before they ever speak to a vendor. Now, that research was done in 2013, and this applies in professional services still today. But back in 2013, people were researching, imagine what they're doing now. Like, at that time, the buyers complete roughly 57% of the purchase decision process before they ever speak to a vendor. And that number is almost certainly higher now with LinkedIn searches, AI searches doing what Google search used to do. And so your prospect has already formed an opinion of you before they book that call or pick up the phone. And the founders who scale past this have built something that does the belief work before the call through their positioning and brand touch points. So by the time a prospect actually reaches out, they're already most of the way there. Now, here's a pattern I see consistently with founders. They're getting these inquiries, the calls go well, they send out their proposals, and then some of them just go quiet. And the founders never know why. They assume it's price or timing, or the prospect changed their mind or went with a competitor. But when I audit the client's content, when I look at their proposals, when I ask them and get them to talk me through their discovery process, what I find is belief gaps. Places where the buyer needed to be certain about something, and that certainty was never built or created in any of the previous potential touch points that a client had with their brand. And what happens is an uncertain brain won't go ahead and make a decision. It will wait. And your prospect isn't indecisive. They're literally responding rationally to something that's a little bit ambiguous. And neuroscience and decision making has been clear on this for decades. Incomplete information produces delay, not commitment. So the question is, which belief went missing when that person ghosted you? And how can you make sure that you build it in automatically for every future potential buyer that's coming your way? A lot of people think that their prospect is sitting across from them thinking about how many certifications does this person have or how many years of experience do they have under their belt. Your prospect couldn't give a fiddler's about that stuff. All they're thinking about is this going to help me make more money? Revenue, their liability, their reputation, themselves, basically. So the moment your content reflects that world back accurately, they're going to feel seen. They think this person gets it. I'm definitely going to work with them. Now, Harvey Specter in Suits, He doesn't walk into a client meeting leading with his win rate. He already knows what's at stake for the client before he sits down. And that's why they hire him before he's even said a word about himself. So be like Harvey Specter every time. Then the plus side of this is that once you understand how to do this, you can train your team to do it too, which means you can build something that works whether you're there or not. Bonus. So I mentioned there are 7 beliefs. All of them have to land before a buyer signs anything or says yes, and here they are. Belief number 1, they need to believe that you understand their world. Recognition fires before reasoning, meaning the part of the brain that decides whether something is safe, relevant, or worth attention, that responds in milliseconds, long before any logical evaluation kicks in. So when your content accurately describes your buyer's world, that system fires and tags the source as trustworthy before they've consciously decided anything. They feel seen first. They think later. The moment your content describes what it's actually like to be them, their brain goes, yes, this person gets it. Belief 2, they need to believe the cost of doing nothing is real, and risk has to be felt, not just stated. And stories are a great way to make that happen, like sharing the M&S example I mentioned earlier. For a non-cyber client, that would land like a good punch and way harder than any statistic, because emotionally charged information gets encoded differently into the brain. Your prospect's unaddressed risk works the same way. Make the cost of doing nothing visible. Say what it actually costs to wait. Belief number 3, they need to believe the problem can be solved and that you can solve it. Think of Grand Designs. It's a TV show in the UK where this architect, Kevin MacLeod, he looks at these incredible designs that people are making that are totally off the wall, but he never takes the homeowner's word that the build will actually work. He always walks the site. He looks at the foundations. He checks for evidence that the vision is real before he buys into the belief that this is actually going to work. And your prospects are like Kevin. They're doing a site visit before they commit. So your case studies and client results are the foundations. And if they can't see them, then they're not going to go ahead because they're not going to believe that you can build the result they're after. Belief number 4, they need to believe that your specific offer is the right one. And think about Apple for this one. Apple didn't sell the iPhone camera with a spec sheet. They literally ran shot on iPhone and showed you the photograph. So stop explaining your process, paint the picture of the result. So what does a cybersecure business look like? What kind of reputation could they build? That's the picture your prospect needs to see. Belief number 5, they need to believe the investment makes sense. Price is almost never the real objection. The real question is, will what I get outweigh what I pay? What does the problem cost them if it stays unsolved? Being held ransom for clients' data, deepfakes, authorizing large transfers, put a number on it. When you do, your fee stops looking like a cost and starts looking like the cheaper option. Belief number 6, they need to trust you enough to say yes. A great way to build trust is with familiarity. Familiarity builds trust faster than any testimonial because the brain prefers what it already recognizes because recognition feels safe. So when you show up consistently and you sound the same in a LinkedIn post as you do in a discovery call, when you ditch the professional version of yourself that's slightly more careful and slightly less real, buyers feel that gap when you show up like that and it makes them a bit nervous. So just show up as you, do it consistently and help them build familiarity. Belief number 7, they need to believe now is the right time. And like AI can help an attacker breach a business's defenses in as little as 27 seconds, according to the latest research. Now, gosh, I'm recording this video a couple of days before it goes out, but by the time people are listening to it in a couple of years, that is probably going to be milliseconds. And every third-party vendor is a potential entry point. The alarm is going off right now in your prospects' heads when you say things like that. And a lot of founders strip that urgency out of their content because they're uncomfortable with using fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And I get it. So what ends up happening is if you don't speak to fear, uncertainty, and doubt, buyers put you on a list for a project in the next quarter or the quarter after that. So be honest about what waiting actually costs and ground the urgency in what's genuinely real. And that message will reach buyers whether you're on the call or not. And the reality is there's no business too big or too small that doesn't need you right now protecting them. Everyone is vulnerable. Make sure you communicate that, because in my honest opinion, not doing so makes you negligent. All 7 of these beliefs have to land. Miss one and the sale dies. Here's how it plays out in practice. A prospect can trust you completely and still ghost you because they haven't felt the cost of inaction. They can believe the problem is real and still wait because the outcome picture that you painted wasn't vivid enough for them to really see it. They can be ready to buy and still put you on a list for Q4 or, Q3 of next year because nothing made them feel right now it's urgent. Every proposal that goes quiet has a belief missing somewhere in that chain. And here's what most founders don't see. The belief that went missing wasn't necessarily lost on the call. It may never have been built in any of the touch points in the first instance. And I see this consistently among founders with serious expertise and real results where their content is doing 2 or 3 of the beliefs and the other 4 are left to a single call. And this is all subconsciously. People are not always aware that there are 7 beliefs. So when they're leaving everything till that call, really you're leaving everything till that last moment and hoping that it's the right moment with the founder saying exactly the right thing, you being the founder. And when that happens, yes, it converts. When it doesn't, the belief gap stays open and that sale disappears. 2 places I see cybersecurity founders lose the sale after the belief framework is clear. And the first is adding more proof when that's not what's actually missing. When the pipeline is slow and the last few deals haven't closed, the natural instinct is to put in more credibility, more certifications, more logos, more proof, more, look how great we are. But sometimes that's right. More often it's not, because the prospect trusted you fine. What they were missing maybe was something else, like that vivid picture of what the outcome is or a real sense of what waiting would actually cost them. More proof doesn't fix a missing picture. Now, I've created a doubt to decision bridge audit tool where you can copy and paste in your text from your social media posts, your emails, proposals, website, and more. And the audit tells you which belief is actually missing and gives you an AI prompt to help you improve it. Something else that I see happening to cybersecurity founders is building the beliefs once on the call and nowhere else. They're leaving all the work to the call. And it's fair to say that a great discovery call can 100% include all of those 7 beliefs for the prospect who's on it. But it doesn't do anything for the prospect who has to go back to a CFO or a CEO and explain everything that you've just told them to get that sign off on the budget. Or the prospect already in your world who's sitting on the fence. The beliefs need to live across your content, your proposals, your website, everywhere where a buyer can encounter you. And that's what turns those doubts into decisions. You can know the 7 beliefs and still not know or be able to put your finger on quite which one is missing in your business. And that's why I created this tool. It takes any piece of content and maps it against all 7 beliefs from this buyer psychology. You see exactly which beliefs you're building and which ones have gaps. It takes 2 minutes and it's completely free. The link is in the description below. So if you've had a proposal go cold in the last few months and you feel like it really shouldn't have, run it through and it will help you see what's missing. So remember, the belief gap won't close on the call. It closes in the content and all of the interactions that you have with the client before the call and after the call, the proposal and every touch point in between. Build those right and buyers are going to arrive at your door ready to work with you, already decided you're a safe bet. Your expertise got you to where you are today. Clarity is what's going to take you further.